This screencast is part of a blog post that shows how to configure Drupal's social auth Google module to automatically assign roles based on a user's Google groups. Specifically in this screencast, we're going to focus on how to configure a Google service account so you can access a user's Google groups. And the reason we need to do this is because a user's groups are only available through an admin level API endpoint, and a typical user in your organization would not have the correct privileges to access that endpoint. So we can do it by the means of a service account and masquerading as a specific user in your organization that has those admin privileges. So following this is a bit like a recipe. If you don't follow it exactly, you may have undesirable results. So before we dive in, you'll need access to Google Admin, where you can manage users as part of your organization, and you'll also need access to Google Cloud Platform to fully set up everything we're walking through today. Great, let's dive in. So I'm going to start us off in the Google Cloud Platform. If you don't have a project already, go ahead and set up a project. In my experience, I have to add a credit card under billing to get everything to work. So just note that if you're having issues, it's maybe because you don't have billing. All right, so at any point, you can get back to where you need to go by clicking this API and services. We'll start off here under credentials, and we need to create a service account. One thing to note is you may have to set up the OAuth consent screen to be able to do this next step. Very easy. Just set it up as an internal OAuth screen, and I'll edit my settings here so you can see it. You just have to fill in the very minimal details for a domain is the main thing. You'll have likely already done this step if you're setting up the social auth Google module anyway. So that's why I kind of skipped this particular step. So let's jump back to credentials. Click Manage Service Accounts, and we're going to go ahead and create a service account. So give it a name. Great. And then you'll see here it says no keys. Let's go ahead and add a key. So we'll click Manage Keys. We'll create a new key, and we want it to be a type of JSON. You'll notice that automatically downloaded, and you'll want to save that for later. That step, this file will get added to a secure location on your server, and that's covered in another part of the blog post. All right, so now we can go hit the back button, or if you want, you can start typing credentials up here, and we can get back to where we were previously. Let's go ahead and click back into our service account, and you'll notice this show domain-wide delegation. In this step, if we hadn't already configured the OAuth consent screen, it would not allow us to do this step. So that's why I started with that. So we'll enable Google Workspace domain-wide delegation. Go ahead and click Save here, and it's going to give us a client ID. We will come back for that client ID here in just a minute, as we'll need that in a bit. Let's go ahead and go back to API and services, and we need to enable the correct API for this. In our case, it's the admin SDK. And again, I'll show you how you can find that, like what's the right API I need to enable. Sometimes that's very easy to figure out, and other times it's not as easy. So here in this tab, I'm in the Google Workspace Admin SDK, and after searching around for a while, I found the endpoint that I needed, and was able to figure out this was the correct one. So again, it may take a little bit of discovery to figure out exactly what you need. All right, so we've enabled that. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our credentials. And now we're ready to copy our client ID that we will use in our Google admin console here. All right, once we're here, go ahead and search for API, and we'll go to API controls, and we need, there's an option here at the bottom that's manage domain-wide delegation. Go ahead and click that, and click add new, and paste in the client ID that we copied from the Google Cloud Platform. All right, and then OAuth scopes. So again, I found the scope that we needed for this particular task here in at developers.google.com in their API Explorer. And this took a little bit of work to figure out the exact scope that was necessary here. And I always encourage you to use the most minimal scope possible for the task you're trying to complete. So in our case, we just needed a read only. We just need to read the groups. So we can paste that in here. Go ahead and click authorize. Great. And then the last bit of this is we need, as part of this step, we will masquerade or pretend to be a user that has a higher level of privilege. So that's the kind of the whole piece with the service account. It allows a normal user logging in to essentially make API requests on behalf of another user. So I suggest setting up a generic user for this, just to not have it tied to a specific user of your organization. So I set up a shared account. All right, and then once you're in the correct account, click on admin roles and privileges. And if you've never set this up before, you can click the edit button, and you can see I've just enabled the groups reader privilege here. So simple toggle. Groups admin would work as well, but again, giving the minimal API control is preferred. And in my case, I didn't make a change, so I didn't need to click save. And that's it.